Code that took place in May, June of 2018, the St. Martin delegation had given a presentation on the progress made on St. Martin up until that point in time. And for some of you, this information you might have picked up otherwise, but I am sure for many of you, this information will be helpful because while you follow the developments of St. Martin from a distance, it is necessary, we believe, to give you that update to form your opinion in terms of how things are going on St. Martin. We highlighted at that time the World Bank Trust Fund, the early priority and recovery projects, the National Recovery and Resiliency Plan that exists. We now have legislated the National Recovery Program Bureau, and we have still, but that is to be followed by a permanent program bureau, but right now we still have the Interim Recovery Committee. As you may know, in the aftermath of Hurricanes Irma and Maria, the Netherlands reserved 550 million euros for the recovery of St. Martin. This financial support was agreed to after the conditions imposed by the Dutch government were agreed to and fulfilled. One, additional border control, and two, the establishment of an integrity chamber. On April the 16th of 2018, the trust fund was established with an expected maximum budget of 470 million euros, which is equivalent to approximately 550 million United States dollars. And this trust fund is a tripartite undertaking of the Netherlands, St. Martin, and the World Bank. The goal of the trust fund is to provide support for the recovery and reconstruction of St. Martin and also to strengthen the country's resilience in times of disaster or for times of disaster because we want to do this ahead of time. The steering committee comprises of a representative of St. Martin, one of the Netherlands, and one of the World Bank, and these must approve activities to be financed by the trust fund. The Parliament of St. Martin has approved in September of 2018 the National Recovery and Resiliency Plan. And these are the frameworks for the selection of activities by the government during the first phase of the trust fund. So far, the Netherlands has transferred a total of 305.7 million United States dollars to the trust fund. And of the available funds, 127.7 million United States dollars have been approved for 4 specific projects. These 4 projects, which are currently under implementation, are 1, the Emergency Recovery Project for an amount of 55.2 million United States dollars. And this project aims to restore the first responders' full operational capacity, repair to critical public buildings, shelters, and housing, as well as the recovery of utilities. We also have, secondly, the so-called Emergency Income and Support Training Project for $22.5 million. This project aims to provide temporary income support and improve the employability of and underemployed workers. Initially, this started in the hospitality industry, but it has progressed into other sections, and it is to strengthen the social protection system in general. We have the Hospital Resilience and Preparedness Project for 25 million United States dollars, and this project is about improving the disaster preparedness and continuity of hospital services at the St. Martin Medical Center. It includes the co-financing of the building of a new hospital, but also supports upgrades to the currently existing hospital building. In fact, it is in this context that colleague Pauletta referred to the cooperation agreement that exists between the countries of the kingdom, and cooperation in the area of hospital services is part of the overall cooperation between the countries.
Tell them, connecting you.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
Indeed, I will try to briefly go over a bit of an economic update as to what St. Martin is like economically, particularly focusing on the two biggest economic drivers, the harbor and the airport. As you know, about 90% of St. Martin's GDP is consisted from tourism. It is one of the most tourism-dependent countries on planet Earth. I've always said that our biggest import is customer expectations, and our biggest export is customer satisfaction. And the biggest point of import and export is the harbor and the airport. To have an idea of where we were immediately after Irma, we were at about 15% of the total number of hotel rooms we normally would have. Only 15% were available. Today, we are at about just under 50% of our room inventory, so still far from where we want to be. For that reason, the strategy immediately after the hurricane was to focus on cruise tourism, which is less of a room-dependent form of tourism, but still very lucrative. Indeed, that seemed to work out very well, as that strategy in 2016, before Irma, we hit 1.6 million cruise tourists. In 2017, we of course dropped to 1.2 million, but in 2018, we're pleased to report that we actually bounced back to 1.6 million tourists in 2018. The cruise industry has been thriving and carrying a lot of the load in terms of our tourism industry. However, the airport, as we know, suffered extreme damage. Over $120 million of damage was experienced at this airport, with loss of business in excess of $30 million. And currently, every month, the airport is at a loss of about $1.5 million a month. But with that being said, the airport was still able to maintain its employees and not lay off a single employee up until this moment. That is very important for us to realize, because the airport is one of the biggest and most critical employers in the country of St. Martin. So for them to still be able to find a way to retain employment and management was very important. Several reconstruction projects have taken place. The most important one was starting with the roof, as the roof was completely destroyed and water was constantly entering the building. That was fixed. Then the mold remediation was done. And as you have seen on arrival in St. Martin, we recently were able to move back into about 80% of the ground floor of the terminal building, which in itself, considering the damage, is quite a huge stride. Now, of course, Madam Chair talked earlier about the World Bank. No, there is a proposal on the table for the airport, so the airport has done this on their own means. And in addition to that, there was a legal situation between their insurer, which is, there was some settlement, but it is ongoing. But I have to say today that the airport, through the resilience and efforts of the local board, the local management, the local employees, the local industry stakeholders, was able to bring us here today. I cannot take credit, me personally, and I don't know if anyone here will just take all credit for what the airport has been able to do despite the situation. And I would shudder for anyone to think for a moment how any airport within the kingdom would fare if it was to get the damage that was caused by Hurricane Irma. It is therefore understandable that in government, parliament, and even at the airport has expressed some concerns about the conditionalities being attached to potential World Bank and EIB funding projects. As was stated by the government, with the minister responsible for the airport, as a responsible government, we would like to have these conditions in writing. We welcome all the assistance we can get, but under no guise should help become a hostile takeover of our most strategic asset. Some of the concerns that have also been expressed, for example, we know that there is some bottlenecks and it's not a perfect situation, that there's room for improvement, and I do echo the sentiments of a need for an evaluation. But there are also concerns about double standards in the conditionalities. For example, the airport is being asked to add members to a board, potentially, or, for example, to do a corporate governance review. However, the hospital, which was stated earlier, I believe a $30 million project, was not subject to such conditions. The lack of consistency in that regard is also a bit of a concern for the airport. And finally, what is most interesting about this, or concerning about it, is that conditionality, according to the World Bank, is not part of their practices. The World Bank has stated emphatically to Parliament that they do not believe in imposed conditionality outside of their own procurement guidelines. In a recent conditionality review in their paper, it states, and I quote, "This paper gives evidence for government's full ownership and management of World Bank-supported programs, including where they support sensitive reforms." For what the airport has presented to Parliament, the airport is in need of liquidity support. They are able to find the financing needed for reconstruction, but are in urgent need of liquidity support for the company. This will allow them to continue their amazing ability to serve the public, but also retain their staff. In closing, I would like everyone to join me, and normally we applaud after a speech, but I would ask that we also applaud the people of St. Martin, the local management, the team, the stakeholders, the hardworking people who have helped St. Martin bounce back so strongly despite the horror that was.
Hello, St. Martin. My name is Stephanie Medina, and I play football with the Walichi Women's Soccer team. I have represented St. Martin in many different games. For example, the Dutch Caribbean Women's Soccer Cup. I played against Bonaire, Aruba, and Curacao right here in this stadium. Sports matter to me because it makes me happy, it keeps me fit and healthy, and it is very fun. So I ask the business community to take on this challenge and help us rebuild our facilities. And I also ask the community to nominate the local businesses in your area and take on the challenge and step up for sport. Why? Because sports matter. Check out the Department of Sport Facebook page for more information. Hashtag sports matter. Hashtag are you in?
Hey ma, how you doing? You busy?
I hear, just paying some bills, taking care of business, you know what it is?
I know, you're doing your online banking.
I don't have to stand in those long lines to pay bills. I can transfer when I want. I can check my account wherever. It's like the bank open 24/7. I even here checking the statement right now as we're talking. How's Miami?
Well, that's why I'm calling. I'm finishing up a few songs now, but I'm afraid that studio time might be more than I thought. And I was wondering if I could get some help with some funds, and I could pay you back as soon as I get back to St. Martin.
Let me check my account. How much you need?
I think 500 should be enough.
I can transfer it to you while online. Direct from me to you. No problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Ma. I'll get online with Wib now.
Alright, darling. You know who you're for?
I need to know who you're for.
Contact Wib today for your complete personal online banking experience. Available for all mobile devices. The Wynwood Islands Bank, now your online banking partner in progress.
Who you're for.
Let's back up somewhat. You said that you've won 10 court cases. Approximately how many court cases were initiated by the Whitefield Union?
12.
And how many? 12?
Yeah, 12.
So that means 2 are still pending.
Yeah, and those that are pending, right now we're in the process. They don't want to go to court, let me say that. So they're in the process of doing an out-of-court settlement. As a matter of fact, this morning, I visited a company, I won't mention the name, where there's a court case in the motion, one of the court cases in the motion, but they are willing to pay. I assume that they don't want to pay the penalty, so they are willing to pay, and so they will later on today send me their calculation, and I'll make sure that it is in line with the rights of the workers and with jurisprudence. Okay, because that is important. I don't want to agree, and I will never agree on anything that will be contrary to jurisprudence, because a lot of these employers, they do not consider the workers and the plight of them and their families. So for us, jurisprudence, that is a court decision, is important. So any agreement that is made, or settlement that is made outside of court, has to be in alignment with jurisprudence. So that is where we're at, and if they doesn't comply to our position, then definitely the lawyer will proceed with that.
Mr. Thompson, undoubtedly, Whitefield is representing many of workers. Many of the business places have been closed since the passing of the hurricanes back in 2017. I'm sure this has had some sort of an impact on the many workers that you represent. Where would you place that figure at this time?
Well, I would say about 50% of the employees that we represent have been affected by, the hurricane passing and the damages to the place of work. But Whitefield membership is not like what the law prescribes, because we are an organization which changes and adapt to changes. Let's say, for example, our laws say here still that to become a union member in a company, it must be the majority of the employees who will go through a referendum and vote for the union. Whitefall has bypassed it a long time ago. Whitefall goes beyond that. We open our membership to individuals. So no matter where you work or who you are, you can be a part of Whitefall as an individual. So we don't have to wait for collective membership in a company based on the majority according to law. So even though our members are being affected by the close of those companies, they still have the right to representation if they so desire, because we consider them to be members of Whitefall still, unless they personally decide to retire, resign from the organization. That's why we issue our members a membership card. And so as long as you come to us for assistance, we will always advise you. Matter of fact, any worker we give advice to, because that's the fundamental right of a workers' organization, protection of workers' rights and defending the cause of workers. So, and that is based on international, the ILO conventions, ILO treaties, where all independent nations of the world sign off on, and it carries for, the whole area of the workforce, whether it's in their country or in their colonies or wherever.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
In my opinion, everything is perfect and you would be great for the job. But I see here that there's a 2-year gap in your resume. What did you do?
I was hospitalized for mental illness.
Oh, mental illness?
I've undergone treatment and I have a wonderful family that supports me.
Well, that is good news.
No, it's fine. I'm recovered.
We'll contact you, okay?
For a better understanding of mental health and what you can do to stop mental health stigma, please go to the Mental Health Foundation's website at www.mhf-sxm.com.
In December, I spoke on the ministry's intent to tackle the issues of the number of dilapidated structures still standing and the health and safety risks these structures pose. This month, the inspection department will start drafting an overview of all structures that need to be restored or demolished. The owners of these dilapidated houses and building structures will be contacted by the inspection department to provide a specific plan of approach. If nothing happens from the side of the owners within a given grace period, the ministry will start enforcement actions. I urge all concerned to work with us to avoid having your structures removed at your expense. I continue with the Beacon Hill roadworks. Residents and visitors to the Beacon Hill area are reminded of ongoing work and traffic interruptions connected with the Beacon Hill drainage project. which will continue until the 15th of this month. Motorists are advised to pay close attention to road closures and deviation signs and to drive with caution while they are in the area. Moving on, through a collaboration with the Ministry of VSA, during the course of the last months, approximately 20 families have been provided assistance with roofing materials through a generous donation from the Church of Latter-day Saints. This initiative targeted persons in need of roofing materials that were able to cover the labor costs associated with the repairs of their individual roofs. After a social verification by VSA and technical assessments on the homes by VROMI to verify eligibility, half of the building materials were delivered to the homeowners that qualified. After a midpoint inspection by the Ministry of VROMI, the homeowners will receive the other half of the materials. I'd like to thank our counterparts within the Ministry of VSA for their collaborative work and look forward to providing a full update at the completion of this project. And lastly, roof repairs. Bidding will close tomorrow for Phase 1 of the Recovery and Resilience Trust Fund's roof repair project. This small project of 14 homes serve as a pilot for the larger roof repair project using the trust fund. Once the submitted bids have been evaluated, it is the intention to assign the project in as short time as possible so that works may start. The larger Phase 2 roof repair program has also started, and there is an ongoing tender for the assessment of the remaining homes.